So we got hold of the uploaded file, but now we also want to store it. And for this, I'll add a little helper function here in my views file. We could create it in a different file as well, but I want to keep it here so that we see all the related code on one screen. And I'll name it store file, and I expect to get the file as a parameter here. The idea is that this function should now be responsible for storing the file somewhere on our system. And we can do this with a pretty standard way, which we have in Python when it comes to working with files. We can use the with keyword and then call open, which is a built-in function in Python to open a file, and then open a file in a directory of our choice. And here I'll name this temp slash, and then also include the file name the uploaded file should have, and I'll just go with image.jpg here. And of course, I have a bunch of assumptions here. This will, for example, only work for JPEG files. So if you are uploading a PNG or a PDF, please adjust this appropriately. Of course, we'll later learn how we can make this more flexible. Now I'll open this file, and if it doesn't exist yet, I want to create it. So I'll set the mode here for opening this to WB+, which is prepared to work with binary files, and we'll have such an incoming binary file here, and it will write that file to that location in the end. Now I'll save this under a variable named dest for destination, and now that's the destination of the file where it should be stored. Now we can create a for loop in here and go through all the chunks in file.chunks, calling that chunks method which this uploaded file class has. And this simply will read the incoming file in chunks instead of reading it entirely in one go. We could use read instead to read it in one go, but as you see here in the official docs, if that's a large file, you would occupy a lot of memory with just this file. So reading it in chunks is more efficient. That's why we loop through all the file chunks, and then chunk by chunk, we will write it to this destination. To do so, we simply use our dest and call write to write this chunk to that destination, so that we create this destination file step by step from the chunks of the file we receive as a parameter here. And now, instead of printing the uploaded file, I will call store file and pass this uploaded file to store file to store it there. Now let's see if that works. If we save this and go to our form, if I pick that same image again and click upload, I get an error that this directory, temp, does not exist. So we need to create such a folder. And we don't need to create it here in the Profiles app, but instead this code will basically run in this overall project folder. So therefore, we should add a temp folder here in the main project folder. And with that temp folder created here in our overall project folder, if we now go back to /profiles and we pick an image and we click upload, we don't get an error anymore. And if we have a look at this created temp folder, there now is the image JPEG file, which is this uploaded image. So this now works, and this is how we can generally handle file uploads. But of course, this approach has a couple of flaws. It's fairly static. It only works with JPEG files. And we have quite a lot of custom logic, which is very flawed and very much not flexible. Therefore, whilst this is an approach we could use, and which we of course could make more flexible by adding more code, let's instead now dive into the various helper functionalities Django has for us when it comes to managing file uploads.